Good afternoon, everybody. Bob, Trade Genius, the 25th of April. And turnaround Tuesday came a day early. So let's kind of go through the macro here and then try to see if there's some opportunities for us this week. The problem we have this week is Monday is the easy day for them to reverse it because no real earnings to think about until tomorrow. And then, so this week, big Facebook, Google, a lot. I think this is the biggest week in terms of earnings coming up. And so far, we're trending 7.7% revenue gain, minus 2.3% on profit. That revenue gain is likely inflation. The profit is losses are likely higher costs associated with the business. And so a bit of a mixed bag. But, today we had a bit of a reversal, but I'm going to start off with oil because I think oil is going to tell us everything that we need to know. I talked about this over the weekend. Here's the descending triangle, and oil has literally has gone nowhere since February 28th. Okay, so, February 28th. So we should start seeing the inflationary trends abating because if oil's starting to stabilize, then companies will start stabilizing pricing. The only thing that's a wild card at this point now is I don't know what the heck China's doing. They're committing some sort of mass delusional suicide, and they're trying to make it a murder suicide by dragging Europe and the U.S. into it through basically shutting their economy down. I think we're up to almost 40% of their GDP now is in some sort of lockdown over this coronavirus that we have no idea, what's it all about. Is it one of the versions that's already out there and for some reason they have less of a tolerance for it, or is this just some sort of game they play, or is this some sort of strategy that they have? I don't know, but it's driving the people in China nuts, and it's probably going to cause us some grief going into summer. So is it inflationary or deflationary? All depends. If demand gets destructed, doesn't matter how high price goes up, but people aren't buying it. So we'll have to see. On the food front, which is interesting, is that I'll get to that in a second. But there's some moderation going on there as well. So let's just kind of page through some of these charts here a little bit. So far as I'm concerned, below $93 is a move to 87. That will basically take the inflation game right off the table. If this breaks out, okay, then we have to look at 109 again. And if that breaks out, we're still stepping up. And this was just some sort of lull into going to try to double top this thing in the summer. Not sure where this is going to take us yet. So we'll just keep an eye on it. So I'm going to skip over DAX. And here's the dollar. So the dollar actually is drifting down slightly tonight. Every night when China opens, China devalues their currency and keeps putting the pressure on the dollar. And so until this dollar abates, I think we're still going to struggle in the market. And I think as the dollar falls, oil tends to be falling with the dollar. It's kind of weird. But they've been moving together instead of opposite. Obviously, gold and silver don't like a stronger dollar, and nor does Bitcoin apparently. So just keep an eye on it. So here's S&P 500. This is a nice hammer. Okay. Now what we have to wait and see is are we going to do this and roll over, back down again, or if they're going to try to climb this bad boy back up higher. So my view is that we may chop around until we get the Fed news next Wednesday. I think if oil behaves itself, I think we'll see probably more of a moderate conversation coming out of Powell. And in my view is he'll raise in May, they'll raise in June, and they'll find out that they basically sent the country into recession. And then that's going to be it. And then we're going to wait and see how they react to basically the demand destruction that's coming from China and basically the policies of the United States that will cause some economic pain here going into the fall. But we shall see. Europe is still just diving, and that's putting pressure on the dollar too. So they didn't really get much of a move here on Macron winning. There was an interesting chart um, that showed that Macron, his all his clients and voters came up from basically 60 and greater, and Le Pen's came from everybody younger. So there's going to be, I think, a cultural change in France here over the next decade. That's not going to be pleasant for left wingers, and United States here with Hollande. Obviously, we'll talk about that. It's just another feather in the cap of wokeism is brokeism, and we're going to. I think the red wave is becoming a red tsunami. I think they're all resigned to the fact on the left now that they they fought the wrong battles. In war, when you do a thrust like they did in 2020, they didn't protect their flanks. They didn't shore up their supply lines. They just kept pushing forward, and they ran out of gas, and they got counterattacked by mobs. And so, the left made a huge mistake. They let the woke mob try to destroy our children, and we're getting a counterattack here by the moms. So um, just amazing. And us, also the Hispanic community doesn't like it at all either. So they're just basically trying to just get rid of traditional living for some sort of, who knows, the sexual fantasies of the left. Let's flip down here a little bit further here and let's look at gold. Gold's actually up today. It went down and hit our support level at 1875. We'll see if the move is done here. They pushed it down really hard as they like to do. LME's closing their gold speculation here in June. So, and obviously the rumor, which is not a rumor, I think it's common sense, that there's no gold in these vaults. It's all paper. And at some point that fraud's going to be exposed. And then boom. And then we'll just see what happens from there. But right now gold's at support and it needs to hold this 1875 area. Right now it's over 1900. And if it does and starts bouncing up from there, I think we'll start seeing some relief in the markets, because that means whatever this game was that they're playing with this dollar is starting to abate. But we'll see tonight. China opens here pretty soon, and we'll see what games they play here. Let's look at small caps. Small caps had a little bit stronger push than even the S&P, and let's see if it's if this neckline is going to hold on the IWM. Small caps, I think, are going to be the most vulnerable to any kind of pullback. It's already down 15%, from the March highs. And so we'll see if they can hold it or if it's going to roll over, but it's something to keep an eye on. So we have natural gas. And natural gas is interesting. Even if oil falls, natural gas is probably going to hold. It's just difficult to trade. So you probably have to buy some nat gas companies like Southwestern and so on and so forth, and just hold them, because Europe's going to need multiple natural gas sources. And I think, with Russia still having a stranglehold over them, I think we're going to see some arbitrage between the U.S. market and Europe, which is going to raise our prices. NASDAQ looks a lot like the ES, except a little bit stronger today. Some of the high beta names came out of the gates like a rocket. Ones that I want to short are really moving higher. So be interesting to see how hard they go before they run out of oxygen. I hope for a couple weeks so that we can stabilize some of these commodities that we're in, and get positioned then to short those names here as soon as we can. Okay, let's see if there's anything else I want to share. The Russell looks like everything else. And silver. Silver looks like gold. So see if we're going to get a pop in silver here as well. It hit support. It's still way oversold. So we'll see if we get some sort of oversold bounce. And obviously SLV is a recipient of any move higher. And I think that's it. Now I want to talk about Musk here. People are probably wondering why, with their buying Twitter at 54.20, why is Twitter at 51.70? It's because it's not consummated yet, and there's earnings coming up, and people look until the deal's done. So there's probably a little bit of a hang back there. So if you feel confident it's going to happen, it's going to push up to 54.20, obviously, to close the transaction. Don't know exactly when that's going to be. But in the meantime, if you had calls like I did, I rolled them up, and I also sold the 55s against them because I have 20 contracts. They're going to give me free $600 for Friday. I'll take it. And a lot of people are worried is if the earnings are bad, is Musk going to walk away? Absolutely not. And he won't walk away. He won't renegotiate. He wants the company, and he obviously has a strategy for it that I personally can't wait to see. It should be pretty interesting. And then one other thing here, I don't have it on my list here, but I'll talk about it, is that um, the VIX, when the VIX gets over 30, um, like it did today, and then it pushed back down to $27. So it has a hard time when it gets over 30, things get really expensive, and you start seeing a pushback. And we also had a call ratio was over 130 today, dropped all the way back down to 116. And so that's a tell for you too. The people that went long Friday thinking it's going to do it probably had to endure some pain today, but that's just. But they should have ended the day with some green. We personally in our trading room that were active in futures and options, we I personally did 2,500 plus on S&P, and I wasn't even trading it the whole day. I could have probably made twice that. There was some wiggles in there that I just left my long on and was away for 2 hours that probably could have traded it around it and did even better. But it was a nice day. We're up 100 from the lows. And if you notice, that's becoming the norm here, down 150, down 120, up 100. Um, there's still volatility in this market. And so we just have to see if the volatility abates after Powell gives people a little bit more clarity. But I think any bounce that we get of significance will still be shorted. I think we're still going lower. And I'm still looking at this target anywhere between 360, 380 on the S&P. And I think we're going to get there. And that's a measured move we had for a long time ago. That they're fighting it. But eventually we're going to get down there, and then we're going to see what happens from there. So anyway, guys, thanks for listening. I appreciate it. If anything else, just put it in the comments. But I hope you like what I'm sharing, and like and subscribe, and help me try to grow this thing. And I enjoy talking about this stuff. I hope you guys enjoy listening to it. Bye bye.